I want your take on AEW in general, and then we'll start getting into Dynamite and some of the stuff. But we've been kind of it sucks because AEW is good.
It's been bad. It's been bad. Let's just fucking call a spade a spade. It's kind of it's for the most part, more or less, it has sucked.
Yeah,
that's how I'm feeling about it. I'm pretty sure Justin.
Yeah, I was gonna say AEW is good overall for the business, right? Like competition's good and all this shit. But the past like 4 episodes, we've kind of been shitting on it because there are problems and there's a lot of stuff going on. And we have Forbidden Door on Sunday, and we are both feeling very iffy about Forbidden Door. Whereas the last Forbidden Doors, we were like, oh, this shit fucks. Like it was good. So I want your take on what's going on over there and how you feel about the product in general, I guess.
For sure. So, I mean, I think I'll start off by saying that I absolutely agree that the fact it exists is terrific for the business. And I think that it should continue to exist for an extremely long time. You know, it's not something that I will probably watch regularly. And I'll say when it first debuted, you have to remember when it first debuted, it was like right after maybe Kofi Mania. I'm not sure. It was one of the two. And wrestling was like in WWE was still kind of stale and kind of boring. There wasn't really much interest. And I was an enormous AEW fan at that point. I was super excited because up to that point, I hadn't really watched any New Japan. I'd only seen cursory Ring of Honor and TNA stuff. So like a lot of that type of thing I had not been exposed to before. And I was extremely into it. I think if I had to pinpoint one moment that kind of soiled it for me is I got some friends over who they're like wrestling fans. They know about it, but I wouldn't say that they're like, and
they just watch it with you because it's like fun.
Exactly. I don't think. Yeah,
that's like all my other friends that I watch wrestling with.
On their own, I don't think that they would ever go and watch any of it. I'm dragging them actually on Monday to Raw.
Hell yeah!
So like that's
that'll be fun though. That's gonna be sick.
Oh yeah, no, I'm very excited. I think if I had to bookend one moment, I'm trying to remember the pay-per-view. It was still during Corona, I want to say, the exploding barbed wire deathmatch fiasco.
Revolution.
Yeah,
Revolution 2021, baby.
Exactly. I sold it to my friends as this match is fuck. It's crazy. The shit exploding barbed wire.
Dude, I did the same exact fucking thing as you.
And then you got clowned on.
And then we saw the 4th of July in like Libya, and we were like, you know, on the stage, and we were like, well, this is kind of not great. And I wondered. I still watched a little bit. I think if I had to pinpoint 2 things I don't like about it, it's honestly, and this is a very old man thought, but the no selling thing really fucking irritates me. You can, you know, take 3 Canadian destroyers through a chair and through a table, and then
like kip up right after.
Yeah, exactly. A poison Rana through like a flaming barbed wire bat, and you're just gonna be like, no, fucking one-winged angel.
Yeah.
I think that I hate.
I understand it. There's a lot of like wrestling in itself has just a lot of weird quirks about it that just like don't make sense. But then like when you look at AEW and kind of that, I'll say like genre of wrestling where they no sell shit and they do all these like high spots, you know, getting cheap pops for lack of a better way to say it.
Right.
Cheap pops in a spot fest, as the Twitter people would say.
IWC.
The IWC.
IWC. Basement.
I think when it gets redundant, it's not good. And unfortunately, it does get redundant over there. Shit like that reminds me of like a fucking like anime fight sequence.
Yeah.
But
that's interesting.
There's only like so much of that you can like take, I think, at once.
Yeah.
Right.
And you know, pacing and whatnot is super important and not necessarily something that's always, you know, accounted for, I feel like. Or I guess their idea of pacing might be different. I don't know what the process is behind that, but I agree with you in that way. And you know, remember when the super kick was just the sweet chin music.
Yeah, right.
And only Shawn Michaels did it and ended matches with it.
Right.
Yeah.
Now it's like a normal. It's like you're playing 2K and you hit square and it's a super
Yes.
kick.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's your basic strike move.
The super kick party, I believe, is even a term that is used by one Young Bucks. You know,
it's true. But yeah, I totally get what you're saying. That specific match was definitely a low point for me too. Like, didn't turn me off because a lot of good stuff came after that.
That was before I started watching AEW. This guy was trying to get me to watch AEW for like 2 years. And then I just didn't.
I also like I started watching when they first aired on TNT. Like,
too, yeah.
I was in my college dorm room, literally
Same
fucking watching it with my roommates. So, you know, so, but yeah, that things that they've definitely like changed a lot since they've started, in a bunch of different ways. But we have a lot of gripes with the booking right now.
There's too many damn people. There's too many damn people. And I think in regards to all the no selling and all that stuff, I'll just cap that by saying that, like, I don't really care. It's not like I'm like, oh, you're hurting the business or some garbage like that. I think it's more just like, if I am trying to have any sort of semblance of, God, I fucked the word. What's the word where you like forget what you're watching isn't real?
Immersion?
Immersion, yeah, sure. Like any sense of immersion or any sense of that type of thing in wrestling, it's just, I don't know, you need, especially as you get older and you become more of a Redditor or Twitter or whatever, and you're just like reading constantly about the secrets behind it. Like, you just need that little extra. I don't know. And I would just say, their roster for the amount of shows that they have, and it's just too many fucking people.
We have these, we do have a lot of people, and we have like these overlapping, intermingling stories, but it's starting to become like a red web where nothing makes sense.
Yeah.
And someone actually commented today and was like, oh, I like the overlapping stories. It makes it feel connected. And to a point, I get that. But also, you can have too many connections where stuff just starts to not happen. Take the fucking MCU, for example, right?
Yeah.
Like, the evolution of the Marvel movies, like, you had 5 movies that you could watch alone, and then eventually led to the Avengers, and it happened a few times, like, in different phases. But then they started adding in TV shows, and then they started adding in fucking all this other side stuff, and now it's just this jumbled mess where you need to read a fucking article to understand what's happening in one movie. And I think what's happening with the booking right now in Forbidden Door, for example, something that happened with Will Ospreay, MJF, Daniel Garcia, and Swerve even. We can throw Swerve in there. We had this thing this week where MJF comes out and he calls out Daniel Garcia and he's like, hey man, you've been doing such a good job. I want to challenge you at Wembley. And then Will Ospreay comes out and he's like, no, I'm going to challenge you at Wembley for the international title. Or no, he's like, for the international title next week. And they're like, okay. And then MJF's like, all right, focus on that. I don't care about Wembley. And then he leaves.
Right.
And it's like, just all this other random shit that keeps happening. And like, I went on a rant about this last week where Will Ospreay defended 2 times in a row against people that walked up, said, I'm mad, I want a title match. And he goes, okay. And then they just have a random title match. And you have all these intermingling like characters and stories where nothing makes sense anymore. And it's just starting to cause a big disconnect all over the place.
Right. No, I totally agree. I think from what I have seen, because I do follow it still a good amount, I think, for instance, MJF coming back and he's challenging Daniel Garcia. I don't know why the fuck he would care to challenge him unless there's some other story that I don't really understand. You know, I don't know why he wouldn't try to challenge him, these other, you know, guys. Why not challenge Swerve? You know, why not like try to get in a feud with it? It doesn't make any fucking sense.
Yeah.
I think that there comes an issue like when you're like, oh, I want to challenge you for like the international title next week or whatever on Dynamite. I think the issue that they're starting to run into is that they're kind of, because even if it doesn't matter from the perspective of the networks that they're working on, the public perception when you pop a good rating is like very important. I feel like almost for the morale of like the people who are kind of just like peripherally interested in the product. So like when you're every week booking to pop a rating, the issue becomes that you can't, there comes a point where you can't top yourself anymore.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that was like the meme where Tony Khan was making a big announcement every single day.
yeah.
Like that sort of thing. I wonder like where, because I guess the other thing is like, I think that so much of what they do is really interesting and cool, and some of their stories are really good. I was one of the only people that did kind of enjoy that like Hangman Swerve bloodbath match. I did watch that.
Oh, Galir was
like
too. Galir is a Swerve and Hangman fucking stand, dude. He one of the. I mean, I am too. There was a point where I didn't watch AEW as much, and even before I started watching, and I saw that match between Swerve and Hangman, and I fucking loved it. Like, and I saw even the build-up they did before the match, like with the vignettes and shit. I was like, this is fucking sick. Like, I can get behind this story, and I haven't even seen that much of it.
Right. Totally. I just wonder, I don't know, I wonder what else you can do that's kind of compelling and interesting like that on a weekly basis that isn't Will Ospreay's getting challenged for the international title or Hangman's drinking Swerve's blood. Like I wonder like what the point of just like interesting book, what is WWE doing where their storylines are compelling enough and kind of interesting enough where you don't need someone falling off the top of a building every week.
They have it's like in WWE the characters matter more than the titles.
Yeah.
Almost.
Right.
But then here it's so title based, and they have so many titles where they're just like they make the title the main point of it.
It's so title based and it's so wrestling based.
Yeah.
Like it's like New Japan but with actual, or I won't say actual because they're not really doing a good job, but attempts at like drama. It's like New Japan wrestling, is the main focus, and then they're trying to like make them mean something. And they did. I will kind of stand by this. They were on a pretty okay run last year up until Adam Cole got injured, and then that whole storyline just is in the toilet. And again, we kept saying like he showed up at Double or Nothing as like a device to bring MJF back when he could have just come back without Adam Cole. Because now it's like, okay, Adam Cole's gone again. What is he going to come back at the pay-per-view again and like fuck up MJF's match, which would probably be the best thing for them to rehash that rivalry.